ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music and more.
I cannot believe it! I came here with a dream and I felt like, oh my God, we're going to get smoked right now.
We're good.
But yeah.
Molly Picklum, she can believe it. She's literally on top of the globe after getting it done in Fiji against Caroline Marks. Her name's among luminaries of the sport in Australia, like Steph Gilmore, Tyler Wright, Layne Beachley. Imagine picking up a world title aged 22. Picklum's life just changed forever. And you get the sense this is just the beginning for the young woman from the Central Coast. How'd she do it? How'd she react? I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily. Chris Binns is a surfing broadcaster writer, even actually worked with Molly Picklum ghostwriting her tour diary for Red Bull, so he's a pretty good man to talk to today. He's a happy surfing fan on top of all that. Chris, Molly Picklum is a world champ. How'd she get it done against Caroline Marks to claim the title?
Oh, yeah, g'day, Stacky. I'm not the only happy surfing fan today. I think all Aussies are pretty excited on the way it went down. How did Molly get it done? Oof. It was a long road to get there. She's been on the championship tour for 4 years. She's felt the highs and lows of the various changes that the WSL have implemented along that journey. She was cut in the mid-year cut on her first year on tour, which if you spend any time with Molly or you look too closely into her profile, she just thrives on learning lessons and taking, everything she can from adversity and overcoming hurdles. So first year on tour, she got bounced, went away, absolutely smashed it on the Challenger Series, got straight back on the following year, and then carried on the trajectory that everyone had, sort of picked her to be on from the start.
Oh my gosh, I'm so speechless, but it really feels like the cherry on top to what I've done to my career, and personally I've really turned my life around, and I don't know, it's such a trip. Like, it's something that you can never take from me ever, and to be a world champion, to share it with Yago, and just was such an amazing season was really special, and it'll stay with me for life.
She won a bunch of events. She actually had an 18-month drought between event wins despite being in insane form, and she only broke that a couple of months ago, but this year super consistent. I think if you look at her run of results, she had 3/3, 3 seconds and 2 wins. And best of all, she timed it to perfection. From the last 4 events on the championship tour, she made 4 straight finals. She had 2 wins, including one at heaving massive Chopu a couple of weeks ago.
Molly Picklum again, packing a mega tube. What a tube pig. Are you kidding me? Again, this is absolutely insane.
And just flew into the Fiji WSL finals with a full head of steam. Finishing first, you have to sit around and wait all day because 5th surfs against 4th, then the winner of that takes on 3rd, then the winner of that takes on 2nd, and then 1st. They've either been sitting out at sea trying not to get seasick, bobbing around all day, or they've been back at their hotel trying to take their mind off things. Conditions changed a lot throughout the day. It started off really small and clean, and then throughout the day it picked up a lot in size, but the wind came in and it got a little bit more ragged. So it would have been hard for Molly to keep a gauge on all of that, but she came out. She actually lost the first heat, so it's best of 3 in the world title showdown. Caroline Marks, who won a world title in 2023, had surfed from the very first heat of the day and was on fire. She took care of Betty Lou, Sakura Johnson, and then Katie Simmers, reigning world champion, and then Gabriella Bryan to earn her right to come up against Molly. And she actually won the first heat against Molly. But as I said earlier, Molly loves adversity, and it was a pretty close affair between her and Caroline in that first heat. And if anything, that just kind of gave Molly a bit of a wake-up call. And then she came out, and in the second and third matches, she just blew Caroline away.
As we see Molly
grabbing the rail, hollow pit right there that she's enjoying, extends that line, it spits around. Winding up for a big closeout hammer. Everything's working for Picklum.
And I think when the final siren went, she blew herself away because she was just screaming and speechless, and about all she could get out was just, oh my God, a million times, and she can't believe she's a world champ.
You're the world
It was a visceral reaction from the 22-year-old. You absolutely love to see it as an Australian sports fan. Can you maybe just illuminate us as to the kind of person she is out of the water?
Oh, she is just your typical Aussie grom. She's from the Central Coast of New South Wales, so just north of Sydney. She was born about 15 minutes inland before moving towards the coast at Shelley Beach. She is as passionate of a North Shelley board rider as you will find. She surfs at every opportunity for her club, and they love her for it.
It's really true, the whole, it takes a village to raise a child, and the whole Central Coast, they've, inbuilt the grit in me.
And she's everything we love in our Aussie sports, men and women. She's a competitive animal. She's an absolute mongrel in heats, loves going hard, on the pitch, but then also loves leaving it all behind outside of the jersey. She's cheeky. She's got a bit of a rebellious spirit.
I don't know. I'm going to come out with some crazy speech, I'm sure, later.
But it's all part of her beautiful nature, and she's got a big smile and absolute ripper of a human, and there wouldn't be anyone involved in Aussie surfing who has a bad word to say about Molly or who isn't just absolutely over the moon to see her win this title today.
Can you tell me about the team around her? I mean, she's got the same management group as Steph Gilmore and Ash Barty. Both Molly and those women work with mindset coach Ben Crowe. I just wonder how significant that base of shared knowledge is.
It's huge. I think Molly sees herself somewhere between the two. Steph, supremely naturally talented, and goes through everything with an effortless style and grace. Obviously a competitive mongrel underneath it all as well. Whereas Ash Barty, just a hard worker, maximising every ounce of talent that she has. And then, by Molly's own words, she sits somewhere in between the two. She's definitely worked with Ben Crowe a lot over the years, and she uses all those terms that the modern sports people do. They talk about being in the moment and being mindful and being present and all that kind of stuff, and resilience, and she doesn't just talk about it, she lives it. And around her this year, so she's had a bit of a change. She had the same coach, a former championship tour surfer by the name of Glenn Hall, who's also from the Central Coast. And Molly grew up basically under Micro's tutelage. And at the end of last season, I think she just decided, maybe as a now 22-year-old lady, time to mix things up a little bit. So she parted with Glenn Hall, and she's been travelling this year with her boyfriend Austin, and from event to event she's been enlisting local coaches who all have a different take on things, all know the waves pretty well. And then over in Fiji, she signed up Mitch Ross, who's from Newcastle, just south of the Central Coast. And Mitch was longtime coach of Carissa Moore. So obviously lots of experience around world titles, with Carissa having won 5 of them.
To your point, he's been there with Carissa for ups, for downs, experienced this format, and knows it intimately. And I'm sure that Molly has just been absolutely picking his brains, wanting to know, what did this feel like? What did that feel like? And just tapping into that wealth of knowledge.
I guess Molly was just looking to keep things fresh, get as many varied opinions as possible from all sorts of people, but the same management group around her the whole time. She's had the same sponsors and people around her in that sense forever, because she's loyal and everyone who works with her loves her and doesn't want to let her go. And obviously in 2025 it's worked, because she's our first world champion since Steph Gilmore in 2022.
And that brings me perfectly to our next question. We've seen Steph Gilmore lift a world title, lift many world titles. We know Tyler Wright has done multiples. Layne Beachley, of course, among the greatest ever to do it, male or female. And I just wonder how many more could be in store for someone like Molly Picklum, aged 22 years of age, and clearly got the talents, got the mindset. It feels like the sky's the limit.
It sure does. It's a really, really exciting era in women's surfing right now. The level of talent's incredible. And it's not just Molly who's young. Caroline Marks, who she beat today, won an Olympic gold medal last year, won a world title the year before, and she's only 23. She was also the youngest to ever qualify for the championship tour when she was 15. Caitlin Simmers, who won last year's world title, I think she's 20 off the top of my head, and behind them is an incredible crop of supremely talented young ladies coming through. So Molly has the potential to win 4 or 5, but it's going to be a really, really hard thing to do just because of the amount of insane talent that there is on the women's tour at the moment. I mean, her great rivalry is with Katie Simmers, who won last year's world title. They're great, great mates out of the water. They want to rip each other's heads off as soon as the horn sounds to start a heat. And probably the turning point, or one of the turning points in Molly's year, was at the Trestles Pro this year.
Molly's feeling like she's done enough to get her first win over Katie Simmers.
And that's when you need to push.
And now she'll get a chance at winning this event. Molly into the final.
Katie has had a 6-0 winning streak over Molly. She'd never beaten her on the championship tour, despite the fact that they kept meeting in finals and they were always kind of pegged as the first and second best surfers in the world. And to finally break that hoodoo at Trestles, I think might have unlocked one last little piece of the puzzle where it's like, you are as good as her, but you're more than capable of beating her. I mean, you look back, last year they had the legendary Pipe Pro final. It was Molly who had the 10 and the moments that everyone will remember.
Molly putting her head down, grabs the rail of the pipeline, pulls up and under. She's still going and gets the exit. You little legend, you. Molly Picklum spat out of the pit at Pipe.
But it was Katie who had the win, and that had kind of been how things were going. But she's gone on to beat her once again, as we saw in Tahiti just a couple of weeks ago, and now she's ridden that to a world title. So this could be the floodgates opening, or it could be just the start of an insane rivalry, or a heightening of the already insane rivalry that she has with Katie Simmons.
Either way, it sounds like it's going to be cracking viewing for surf fans. Chris Binns, appreciate it.
Always a pleasure, mate.
Just before we get to the headlines, a reminder, we did a profile interview with Molly after she won the Rio Pro earlier this year. A great insight into this ripping young athlete. You can find that in our podcast feed. Headlines, staying with surfing briefly, because in the men's, it was Brazilian top seed Iago Dora who took the world crown. Australia's Jack Robinson was eliminated in the first heat of finals day, beaten by Italo Ferreira. Some big news coming out of Australian men's cricket. First, Mitch Starc has retired from T20 international cricket. That's somewhat surprising given there is a T20 World Cup next year, but it means he can concentrate more on tests and ODI formats from an international perspective. You assume he'll still play franchise leagues. Maybe bigger news is the revelation that Pat Cummins is struggling with lumbar bone stress. Consequently, he won't be playing NZ in an upcoming T20 series or an ODI games against India because, well, the Ashes is coming and you don't want the skipper with a sore back. Cricket Australia says they're still working out a rehab plan. If I had to guess, you'd assume he will basically be in cotton wool before the first test with England in November. Maybe a Sheffield Shield game. No one seems to know for sure, and back injuries can just be so tricky. What a bummer if Pat Cummins was missing parts of the Ashes series. Tennis, Alex de Minaur's into the quarters of another Grand Slam after he took care of business in the fourth round at Flushing Meadows. He's set up a clash with rising talent Felix Auger-Aliassime. The Canadian is in a rich vein of form, having already beaten third seed Alexander Zverev in this tournament. If the Australian wins there, Yannick Sinner is likely waiting in the semi-finals. Reminder, the Demon has not made it to the semis of a slam yet, despite being a bit of a frequent flyer in the quarterfinals airspace. Can he make the jump? He won't get much of a better opportunity. I'll tell you the following statement from NRL club the Brisbane Broncos with no further comment. The Brisbane Broncos are aware of a video posted by Reece Walsh on a social media platform. The club can clarify that Walsh is currently renovating his home and has installed a brand new toilet in a new bathroom, which remains unused. The video represents a poor attempt at humour posted privately by Walsh. No one should take this video seriously or act upon the advice. As I say, no further comment. Finally, Aussie Joe Bugner, a one-time boxing heavyweight world champion, has died aged 75. While Bugner will be fondly remembered for his incredible wins and big personality, he's also known for fighting both Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. While he lost to both of those greats, he also went the distance with each fighter, not being knocked out by either. That sounds like one tough competitor. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily, produced by Poppy Penny. Thanks to the WSL for the extra audio used in this episode.
Discover more great ABC podcasts, live radio and exclusives on the ABC Listen app.